A rally for the Unite the Kingdom movement is taking place. Protesters flood the streets, chanting and waving signs demanding change. On the surface, it's about immigration, a hot-button issue. But is immigration really the issue here, or are these protesters using it as a scapegoat to avoid addressing deeper, more uncomfortable truths?
Why are they coming in like that? Surely that's wrong. Why I wouldn't skip on a boat and go to another country and hop off and expect to be well looked after. But apart from that, this is just United Kingdom.
She may have a point. There's no denying the concerns that some people feel about the flow of immigration and its impact on their country. But the question remains, are these protesters driven by genuine concerns, or are they capitalizing on a moment of social unease, allowing it to serve a broader agenda? According to census data, the white population in the UK has steadily declined over the past 2 decades. In 2001, around 92% of the population identified as white. By 2021, this had fallen to roughly 83%. In England and Wales, the white British population made up just 74.4%, while an additional 7.3% identified as other white. The protesters' narrative is clear. Immigration is a threat, changing the country and its values. But beneath that, there's a deeper issue, a cultural shift that's been happening for decades. A shift where values like family, hard work, and community were exchanged for individualism, consumerism, and the pursuit of comfort. At the heart of this protest is a society that no longer prioritizes the things that traditionally build a nation: hard work, family, and community. Instead, there is a growing focus on personal freedom and individual success, where raising a family has become more of a burden than a choice. Here's the disconnect. The protesters claim they're fighting for the future, yet the very things that secure a future, family building, community, and responsibility, are being neglected. If people truly care about preserving their culture and heritage, why aren't they stepping up and having children? Let's take a look at the stats. The average fertility rate for white British women is 1.44 children per woman, far below the replacement rate of 2.1. For women in Britain of South Asian descent, the fertility rate is higher. Pakistani women have a fertility rate of 3.0 children per woman. Bangladeshi women have the highest rate at 3.3 children per woman. This brings the overall fertility rate for British South Asian women to 2.5 children per woman, even when accounting for the rate of Indian women at 2.0 children per woman, still much higher than that of white British women. When it comes to African women in Britain, particularly those of sub-Saharan African descent, fertility rates are even higher, ranging from 3.0 to 4.0 children per woman, depending on country or ethnicity. As for British women of Caribbean descent, their fertility rate averages between 2.0 and 2.5 children per woman, still significantly higher than that of white British women. So if preserving the culture is truly a priority, why aren't more people willing to do what's necessary to preserve it themselves? In addition to the low birth rate, let's discuss the labour shortage, both skilled and unskilled. Statistically, working-age white British individuals are less likely to take on labour-intensive or unsociable jobs, as well as those requiring high skills and years of training. There seems to be a reduced expectation for the white British population to fill these roles, with more focus on pursuing leisure, a sense of entitlement that may have been left over from the days of the British Empire, when hard labour was outsourced to people in the colonies. Many of the immigrants coming to the UK are stepping in to fill the very jobs that native-born citizens have increasingly avoided, jobs that demand hard work and responsibility, values that seem to have faded from the national conversation. This isn't about immigration at all. It's about a society that has abandoned hard work and family building as its cornerstone. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if immigration was stopped completely, even reversed, the core problem would remain. With birth rates well below replacement level, the British population would continue to shrink, and the culture these protesters say they want to protect would fade even faster. You can't preserve a future if no one's willing to create one. Enter Elon Musk, who made an appearance via video link during one of these rallies. A businessman with deep political and business interests, Musk's involvement raises an obvious question. Is he genuinely concerned about the country's future, or is he aligning with this issue to further his own agenda? Because here's the truth. No matter how much the narrative is about immigration, the real issue at hand is the willingness to embrace a mindset shift, to find fulfillment in traditional values like family, community, and shared purpose, rather than prioritizing instant gratification and solitude. It's a contradiction that can't be ignored. Many of these protesters reject immigration in the name of preserving their culture, yet they're unwilling to make the sacrifices required to sustain that culture themselves. As the saying goes, they want to have their cake and eat it too. At the end of the day, no amount of protest will change the fundamental issue, a society that has become increasingly averse to hard work, sacrifice, and family building. But it's easier to point fingers than to look at the real problem. So, take a step back and think about what's really being asked here. Is this about securing a future, or is it about clinging to a way of life that was never sustainable? Immigration is part of the conversation, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. The real solution is already here. It doesn't require government intervention. In fact, the government already provides the incentives for this. It requires a return to the values of family, community, and shared purpose. There's no conspiracy, just grifters feeding on fear to stay relevant, offering no real solutions.
There's a future on this planet where my white daughters exist and I am gone. And they will be victims and targets unless white people start standing up for themselves, standing up for their beliefs, and standing up for their nations. Because you're the only race which is being erased. You're the only one. Nobody is invading and erasing any other race. Only you white people.
Thanks for watching. If this made you think, whether you agree or disagree, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more content that looks beyond the headlines. And I'd like to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think we're focusing on the right issues, or are we just avoiding the uncomfortable ones? Until next time, may the force be with you.